right, well, here we are. The One Consciousness Part 2 class, class number 4. And I'm really happy that you are here and joining us today in this class. It is always a combination of listening, meditation, becoming still, and all of that. So this is a good time to relax your shoulders, to relax your mind, and to sit still and to go inward, instead of reacting on what's outside of yourself. And there are different ways of doing that. And so today we are actually using the text of the book of Joel, The Art of Meditation, no, The Art of Spiritual Healing, sorry. And it's chapter 11, the Relationship of Oneness. And this is a very specific chapter because it's about the relationships that we have with one another and the actual different look you can have at it. When Joel says, like, when you call no one on earth your father, that shifts a lot of things. So we're going to take a look at that today. And I have my 5 questions ready to go to make this a real structured meeting. And but hey, there's always something different. Like in the preparation for this class, something shows up that needs attention. And one of the things was that we can start with an it's almost like contemplation. This is really to set the space, so to speak, and I love to use that. So I'll come to that in a moment. And another part is Joel describes in this chapter a lot about relationships in general, and also your relationship to God, and how to look at that in your daily life, how to deal with that in your daily life, what your attitude can be in order for you to be spiritually free to enjoy all these relationships. And so that brings also the opposite part in perspective. That is like, okay, what is holding me back from being free in the relationships that I have? Am I completely honest with myself, or am I depending on someone, or am I actually making somebody my God, or patterns like that we're going to take a look at too. And something came to me that is a very specific way to take a look at your relationships, but very helpful. And so all of this, like extra information, will be available on the website ewhub.com too. And so that's where we're starting with at the end of the class. But first, like I said, we want to contemplate, or to come into a space of light and love, and to recognize each other for who we truly are. And Joel uses a really beautiful part in his text in the book. The chapters, by the way, are all freely given by Acropolis Books, and that's why I love to use them. They have a very beautiful format and are very useful. So here we go. So prepare yourself for this contemplation. And it's a very beautiful intention, basically. It's like an intention. So let it affect you as much as possible, and I'll dive deep into it too with you. And Joel says it this way: this is your opportunity to apply the principles of the infinite way. Look over and through every person in the room to God. So look at everyone, who entered into this class, and look at everyone in this way. And remember this: God is the animating principle of every individual present here and everywhere, but here too in this class. God is the mind of every person here in this class. The intelligence expressing as person. God is the only love. And God being infinite. God is all love. Therefore, God is the love of individual being. And being filled with the love, which is God, no individual can be used as an instrument for hate, for jealousy, envy, or malice. So God is the only love. God being infinite, God is all love. Therefore, God is the love of individual being and being filled with the love which is God. So it's really great to be affected by this and let your heart melt into it. It's like, okay, this is how we have to look at one another. This is how we can receive one another. It's like, yeah, this is God expressing the love that you are. And that's present in every individual in this class, in the ones that you meet, and all of that. Like it's always available for everyone, in everyone. And that's why it's so beautiful to start the class with this intention. Like, this is how we want to meet each other. This is how we want to see each other. And okay, whatever is preventing us from that sometimes, this now in this class is your opportunity to dive deep into it and to feel that, to really deeply feel that God is love, and that's manifest in every person being present here. So let's close our eyes for just a moment to feel that, to come to that. Like, oh yeah, God is love, and that's present in every individual being here in this class and everyone I'm going to meet today. It's happening right now. It's happening here. All right. So, are you aware of the shift that just happened? Like, oh my God, look at that. Wow. Something opens up. Something opens up. I feel a bit of light. Oh, wow. That's so beautiful. Like, we are starting to communicate together just naturally. A light communication is given us in this class, in this moment that we're together, just by having the intention to see each other for who we are instead of judging in one another. So being open, basically keeping your mind open, enables you to directly experience communication. That is so beautiful about this. All right, so I didn't come to the questions that I'm going to look at today with you, and so I will read them to you, so you can prepare prepare yourself. Okay, so this is all about relationships. So that's very interesting, isn't it? So, what does your world outpicture? Is the first question. What can you do? That's question two. What can you do when you can't see love in another person? Okay, this is three. What does it mean to call no one on earth your father? What does that actually mean? And four, with who are you spiritually united? Five, how do I recognize that I'm still depending on others for my salvation or for my fulfillment? How do I recognize that I'm still depending on others? So in this I'd say the last question is really something else in terms of how we deal with it in the class. Okay, so to start off with the first question, it is this: what does your world outpicture? And so one of the things that Joel says is this: your world is an outpicturing of our consciousness. When that consciousness is imbued with truth, our universe expresses harmony. Our universe expresses harmony, orderliness, prosperity, joy, peace, power, and dominion. And there's an absence of truth in our consciousness. When there's an absence of truth in our consciousness, an acceptance of world values and world beliefs, then our world takes on the complexion of the chance, change, and luck characteristics of world belief. All conditions reflect the activity of the consciousness of the individuals concerned. So, what does your world outpicture? It is literally a reflection of your consciousness, of the way that you think. And so Joel uses here a couple of examples, two big examples. And one of them is like, okay, if my consciousness is imbued with truth, then it will outpicture something completely different than when I tune into the channel of human resistance or human activity, human values, and say the whole frame of human reference. And then I have to do with complexity, with comparisons, with competition, with envy, anxiety, fear, contraction, and all of that. So we all are familiar with that. Like that's no accident, or that is no surprise at all to us. And so we deal with that a lot. We deal with it in terms of we accept it the way it comes to us because there's literally no other way to do it. And what I mean to say with that is this: like if my mind is in alignment with the universe, then I don't have the worldly troubles. I can't believe it. Like in this class, the purpose of this class is to come to the place of stillness in the meditation that we do, or at least now to recognize what's in the way for us to really come into our true relationship with God, or to our pure consciousness. So instead of that, we are like letting go of our human frame of reference, and trying not to engage with our thoughts, with our emotions, with our reactions and responses to the world, not making them real for ourselves, but letting them go, trying to train ourselves in letting that go all the time. So when you get caught up in it, the hardest thing then is to let go of that belief, because it's so in your face. You're so mixed up in it, and it brings so much stress and anxiety and fear, because it is very unreliable. Like it is, you cannot trust it in that sense. So the to cut that really short is, in fact, if you come into the action of mind of letting it go, and letting your ideas about it go, and going inward and making that connection, coming to your stillness, so to speak, then you already move 5 steps ahead, because basically you come into a stillness where your whole nervous system can relax a little bit, and see like, oh yeah, wait a minute, oh, it's not as bad as I thought. Oh my God, look at that. Now my world finally collapses a little bit, and all the like the screaming anxiety or the screaming situations or people suddenly become completely still. And now I know exactly what to do. I'm going to stay with this stillness for a while. So then you are in your meditation, and it happens naturally. You can become still, you come dislodged from your situation. And before you know it, you have one idea about the world again, and there it goes again. So then you enter into your mind of worldly beliefs, so to speak, your consciousness of worldly beliefs, and you're in the middle of a battlefield suddenly. I'm saying this a bit black and white, but it's actually pretty clear what Joel says here. It's like, yeah, it's one or the other. We talk about this a lot of the times in the classes. It's like it is one or the other. So you either in a peaceful experience in your consciousness, or you're in the middle of this world ideas, and you feel the difference of it. And like the two worlds don't meet at all, like they have no overlap of any kind, and that is good to realize that too. So you don't have to try to make that world of worldly beliefs a spiritual place. Forget it, it's never going to happen. So it's all about you coming into your recognition of your true identity and coming to that still place inside yourself where that communication is, where it is directly restored because it never was gone in the first place. So, and that is such a different frequency, if you want, or such a different experience of yourself. Then suddenly you feel supported and connected, and suddenly you feel that there's love and extension and space, and suddenly you feel the bands around your heart dislocked. Suddenly it's like, oh, I can breathe again. Oh my God, I feel so good. So you release your human identity all the time. And this is like what we call like dying daily. And that is the practice that we do. It's like you die daily into your humanness. You leave your world of human values behind, and you drop your backpack full of ideas about how to make the world a better place. And just for the moment of your meditation, you do that, and later on you can pick it up if you feel like it, or you just leave it behind and never touch it again. It's like this is how you can deal with it. So the actual thing that you walk up against is your own fear of holding on, like the fear of letting go of these worldly values and ideas. So in the end of this class, we will return back to that in the way that you do that in relationships. So it's like in a certain measure you're uh, dependent in a relationship, in the relationships that you have. And it's really good to take a look at that sometimes. Like, what kind of things am I doing? Am I complying? Am I controlling? Am I doing this or that? And you probably all recognize lots of things in it, like I do. Anyway, we come to that later. See, I can hardly wait to use that because it's so to the point. Let's see what Joel has for us next. Um, let me see. What can you do when you can't see love in another person? Ah. So Joel comes with a nice example, like a personal example of not being able to forgive someone. It's like, okay, yeah, when I look into this room, all these people here, like there are certain characters here that I really don't love. I can try to do that, but I would lie to myself if I would say that I actually love them. And he was very honest in that. So, and then at the time that he went for his evening meditation or moment of quiet, it came to him to ask God to take care of that for him. And so when he did that, it actually happened to him that he fell asleep really peacefully and actually felt completely healed after that. It's like, so in as an answer to the question that's being said, it's like, what do you do when you can't forgive a person, or when you can't love a person as you would want to, um, just because your ideas are in the way? Like, you cannot correct yourself. So, and that is always something that needs to be faced too. Like, it is not you doing the things. Like, the removal is you letting go of these ideas, but you have great help along the way. You have great helpers that can help you with this. And what I mean with that is, like, if you go within, you bring this up as like, okay, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to love my brother, like especially not this person, because I really cannot say that I love this person. It irritates the crap out of me. or whatever it is. Like, so irritating, this person. I can't believe it. Now I have to say that I love him. Well, I can't. I can absolutely not do that. So this was the conflict that Joel was experiencing. And of course, you all recognize it as some persons you like and some you don't. But here you are, you can bring that up in your quiet moments, like, okay, I cannot deal with this myself. I need help with this. And then give that away without touching that again yourself, but allowing the change to occur in you, that's been taken care of for you. So, like, God does the change, or your Holy Spirit does the changing. You are the only one who has to decide, okay, I cannot deal with this. I don't know what to do with it, but I'm handing it over and I'm not going to touch it again. I'm leaving that behind. I'm leaving it. I'm letting it go. So that's, I don't know if you have experiences with that. I really love this. I cannot believe the difference in feeling when you have real conflict with a person, like when you yourself have a real conflict around this person, and you have to let go of your ideas about it. Like, that's one of the hardest things to do for a human being, to do that, because it's like, no, you know you're right. So you have a real struggle in giving up, while you actually know that you're right. It's like, no, this person did something that really couldn't be done. So all this you cannot change by yourself. You're so stuck in your own situation, mostly, that you can't get out of it. So that would be the way then to do that, just to become quiet, hand it over to Spirit, and say, like, okay, take care of it for me. I will not touch it again. And you will, oh yeah, I'll let you do that for me. All right, that's great. That's great practice. So it's very practical today, isn't it? I love that. What does it mean to call no one on earth your father? Yeah, see, I really like that. I like that idea that Joel talks about this. Okay, here we go. Joel says this: when you learn to call no one on earth your father, automatically every man, woman, and child on this earth become your brother and sister. According to human testimony, you may be an only child and you may have no relatives on earth, but once you have agreed to call no one on earth your father, that is no longer true, because you have made a brother and a sister of everybody in this universe. So I love the way that Joel writes this and explains it, because it is like, it is a real step in your spiritual development. It is a real step to enter into the new, like, family that you have, by discovering, like, oh my God, I made everyone. I still have human beliefs about relationships. I really think that my partner is my partner, and my father is my father, and my mother is my mother, and I'm acting accordingly. And now I discover that this is just a setup I have in my mind, and I don't have to live by that any longer. Suddenly, in my experience of myself and um, in my new identity as a spiritual man, I discover that I have a big family, that people come to me, or I meet persons that I actually have a total relationship with, like a total bond with, as if we have known each other for ages. And like, mostly when I meet someone, it is like, I there's no moment where I really have to get used to someone, or trust someone, or whatever. It's like, no, it's immediately a recognition of that bond. And that, of course, is like a beautiful way to experience your new family. And it doesn't mean that you have to leave everyone of your old family behind. Absolutely not. But it is good. Like, it's great to look at it this way, just to also set everyone free out of his own role as a family member, or as an, like, when you are my partner, you have to behave a certain way, or when you are my neighbor, I expect you to behave a certain way. And suddenly that is like, no, those rules are not, um, are only made up in my mind. It's not going to be very helpful for my development spiritually. So I have to come into the direct realization that the one that I meet is my family, is my brother, is my sister. And see, at the same time, it's like I would do anything for you, um, just like I would do for my family, so to speak, my old family. So, yes, but it's really different, because the intimacy in the relationships that you have, in fact, or the closeness or connectedness that you recognize in one another in your spiritual family, is way beyond the human bond, so to speak, as you are used to in your family. So it's like you deal with it still, but it is a whole different character. It has whole different characteristics, and it is not set up to stay in the freedom of giving everyone freedom all the time. And what I mean with that is basically, you don't claim anyone with human rules to be in a relationship, or to be relate to one another in a certain way. So I love to look at it that way, and I have great experiences when being part of a big spiritual family, so to speak, which is changing and is very refreshing and is very new all the time. And so it's not set by rules; it is just set by recognition, and that makes it so incredibly free and freeing. So, but I'm telling you anything, like, you all know this. I'm not telling you anything new. You recognize this immediately when I talk about it. I'm sure of that. Okay, so with who are you spiritually united? Okay, so I actually got to that just a minute ago. Like, with who are you actually spiritually united? Um, Okay, so Joel says it this way. I love to read Joel too. That's why I always pick up his book, or any kind of book that I can use to express myself. When you learn, oh no, there's a bond, a spiritual tie, which binds together all the children of God. This is not a tie to human beings or mortals, and that is why those who persist in remaining on the human or mortal level ultimately drift out of the experience of the more spiritually illumined. Each one draws unto himself those with whom he is spiritually united, his brothers, spiritual brothers and sisters. But those who live and insist on living on the mortal and material plane sooner or later drift away from him. And sometimes the greatest heartaches come from trying to hold on to them. Okay, so that's quite clear what Joel says here. So coming back, there's a spiritual bond, a spiritual tie, which binds together all the children of God. See, it's like it's based on attraction. You know, it's based on attraction. It's like you recognize one another. So it doesn't need rules in that sense. It's like, no, it's obvious. You can feel it. You are drawn to it. You are drawn to one another. See, that part we can understand and feel and all that. But the opposite of that is, at least the part that you have to work at as a spiritual student, is this, then, that you take another look at the relationships that you have. Like, what am I actually doing in my relationship? What am I trying to hold on to in my relationships? So, and that is so good to take a look at regularly, whenever it passes by, so to speak. It is really good to take a look at, what am I doing in my relationship? What are my natural responses to what everyone is asking of me, and how I respond to that. And so I'm going to take a look at that with the last question too. It's like looking at these patterns or things that you get used to in human relationships that are actually not very helpful for your own, for your own communication. So I have no idea if I gave an answer to the question I was reading. Um, Each one draws unto himself those with whom he is spiritually united, his spiritual brothers and sisters. Oh, yeah. So when he says the other way around, then is when you try to hold on to the relationships that you have, like whatever it takes, trying to hold them together, so to speak, is then causing you a lot of pain. Like, you really think that you hold something together that has a purpose or that has a use, and of course it has a use for you in your own imagination of yourself, but in the end, like, you have nothing to lose when you let go of your desire for that. um, and maybe I have to explain it a little bit more deeper, or it is like um, uh, the idea of freedom is something new in human relationships. Like, if everything is working out fine, if you could just accept things as they are, it would be so easy for you to know what to do. Like, you don't have to hold anything together. It doesn't need your energy for that. It's like you can just let everything be as it is. And that means leave your brother or sister free to be herself or his self. Leave them completely free, and you're not going to lose anything around that. You're not going to miss out on anything when you do that. And that's a really big lesson that I went through myself. It's like it's an unbelievable gift to receive, to see that you don't no longer have to hold on to anyone in order for you to be related, because you're going to be related no matter what. Like, you have a whole web of relationships around you, and that has a natural flow. It has a natural coming and going of people too. And yeah, that's really nice to discover and to experience for yourself. So that's why you can give it away. Literally, you can give your relationships away all the time. They will return to you if they have like a bond, a draw unto one another, and that will happen naturally in all freedom. Like, it's not set by, okay, this is the way we do things. No, it's actually completely free to be itself. And that's quite a lesson, I can tell you that. Like, I speak from deep experience in that. Like, that is an amazing lesson that comes by all the time. Like, it is a continuing action of mind to leave everyone free to be themselves, and not trying to do anything or manipulate or control or do anything about that. Okay, so this is a nice introduction to the last part of the class, and that is the looking at, okay, yeah, there are some issues here. Okay, yeah, I have a tendency to do this and that. So I'm going to actually name those. I name a couple of obstacles, as you wish, or um, characteristics in which you can get stuck, in which you can get stuck in your relationships. And I'm not trying to convey that to you as, okay, so take a look at it and see that you're stuck in your relationships. Not at all. But I just share them because I have recognized, I've been through this list many times, and I've recognized a lot of that in the relationships that I had, and seeing that wasn't very helpful for anyone involved. So that's why I speak from my own experience in this. I just read, see, there are a couple of patterns that you will recognize, and I read just a couple of characteristics from these patterns. So if you recognize it, great. If you don't recognize it, just let it go. It's fine. So this is coming from Codependence Anonymous, CODA, and you can find it at coda.org, CODA, CODA.org. The following checklist is offered as a tool to aid in self-evaluation. It may be particularly helpful to understand the idea of codependency. It may aid those who have been in recovery a while to determine what traits still need attention and transformation. So it's, like I said, it's a very transformative tool. So here are the denial patterns. So I just mentioned 3 of them. If you have a tendency to codependency, it is often that you minimize or alter or deny how you truly feel. That can be one of the patterns. Or think you can take care of yourself without the help of others. Or you mask pain in various ways, such as anger, humor, or isolation. So here are just 3 of them. I just mentioned 3 per pattern. So then we have, of course, the how do you feel about yourself patterns, and one is the low self-esteem patterns. So codependents often have difficulty making decisions and value others' approval of their thinking, feelings, and behavior over their own. So they think the others' thinking is more important than their own. Need to appear to be right in the eyes of others and may even lie to look good. That's one of the other low self-esteem patterns. So then you have compliance patterns. Codependents often are extremely loyal, remaining in harmful situations too long, or make decisions without regard to the consequences. Yep, I recognize that. Give up their truth to gain the approval of others or to avoid change. Give up their truth to gain the approval of others or to avoid change. Ooh, that's a really good one too. So then there are the control patterns. Codependents often attempt to convince others what to think, to do, or feel. Codependents often freely offer advice and direction without being asked. Have to feel needed in order to have a relationship with others. They have to feel needed. So that's a real control pattern. Okay, so here are also avoidance patterns. Act in ways that invite others to reject, shame, or express anger toward them. Avoid emotional, physical, or sexual intimacy as a way to maintain distance. Suppress the feelings or needs to avoid being vulnerable. So these are just some of the patterns and some examples of how it can be expressed. You know, and why do I mention this? Why do I mention this is because it is sometimes very hard to discover how dependent you are on others and thinking that you need their approval to be someone or to be something. Like this is for me, it was really eye-opening to have this in some sort of training that I went through, just to discover, like, oh my God, I can actually stand on my own feet. I actually can be myself and be certain of myself just as the way that I am. I don't need approval of others. I don't need to be, I don't need any confirmation. And I can invite others to help me, for instance. And I will be careful not to advise anyone that doesn't ask for it. So you become aware of a lot of, say, patterns that you might not even see about yourself. And these are actually binding you to the human relationships in which you actually are stuck, and you don't even realize that you are. So there's a whole program connected to it. I did it for a couple of years, and it's really great. I can really, yeah, it's you didn't ask for the advice, but I really can advise it to you to do it if you recognize any of these patterns and want to get rid of them. See, it's always like that. It's like, do I admit that I have a problem with this, that I actually need help with this, and am I ready to accept that now? Then this would be a really good step. Or maybe I just want to see the list and want to go through it. And well, I will put it on the EB Hub website too, so you can download it and check it out one more time. It's like, oh yeah, I recognize that. Oh my God, I recognize that too. See, to be aware of what is going on in your human life, in your human way of having relationships, is also very important for you to recognize that you have an opportunity to become free of that. So it's not the end. You're not stuck in it. No, you can change, and it can change, and you receive great help to undergo a change. So this is what I'm offering to you in this class right now. I'm offering that to you. I'm offering basically you freedom, and I do that because like this was the way it was offered to me, and I accepted it, and I became free of it. And so whenever I don't feel that, or whenever I come to places in my mind where I think like, oh my God, I'm trying to please this person. Why would I want to do that? Or I do this or that. Like, it makes you aware of what is going on, so you can stop immediately, and you don't have to stay too long in that pattern of dependency, but recognize it for what it is. And at the end of the day, you say to yourself, okay, well, that's not necessary. I don't have to do that any longer. I can let it go. And so this is actually elevating you, lifting you up in your consciousness. So it's like every eye opener or everything that helps you to expand your mind is actually offering more space for the light to enter into your mind. And that is healing. That is what healing is, allowing that light to come into your system, into your relationships, into your daily life. And see, then the more you allow that to occur, the more it can be opened. And that means also that you don't have to get stuck in situations too long, but that you can come to your own freedom again, and literally also extend that to your brothers and sisters that you're meeting and that you're actually in relationship with. So that's why it's quite huge to step into this and become aware of the patterns in which you are maybe controlling or complying or depending on, yeah, your dependence can be on God, a total dependence on God, and that's it. You don't need to be dependent on anything that you see outside yourself. All right, so that's a lot being said. I can't believe it that all that came out of my mouth, but you never know. So I had to share this with you. That's what I felt, and that's why I did it. So now we can use some of the words that we use in our intention at the start of this class, and use that for a short meditation. So I want to invite you to join me in that, to deeply come into the quiet and let all this that is being shared land a little bit into ourselves. God is the only love, and God, being infinite, God is all love. Therefore, God is the love of individual being. God is the only love, And God being infinite, God is all love. Therefore, God is the love of individual being. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending some time, some quiet time with me. And so this is great. So if you feel like, okay, I really need to take a deeper look at it, just go to the website ewehub.com and you can read about say the list of patterns that are being shared today. So another thing is that on Wednesday we will start meditations. So it's Wednesdays at noon Central Time, USA. And on the website, you can find more information about it. So please join if you have time in your lunch break or whenever. For 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, it's completely up to you. So you're completely welcome to fit it in at your convenience. And the meditation will also be available on YouTube like later on. So yeah, please join. Let me see. Shannon Reeves, thank you. Okay, thank you. So if you want to take a deeper look at the codependency or relationship, that kind of material, so to speak, you're always free to set up a meeting too. You set up an appointment, and we can be with that for a moment and see what healing can occur by sharing what's happening in you. So feel free to ask for some coaching in that sense, to ask for help with that. That can be very helpful, because it is otherwise you're with it yourself and you try to figure things out that might not work at all. And so where two or more are gathered in my name, Jesus says, is like I will be there. So that's so great about the healing work. It's always inward. It's always happening in me. And at the same time, it is like, yes, it's happening in you too. That's so great. Okay, so this is the end of the class. So hope to see you soon. Thank you so much. Um, um, After this class, we will have a moment that we can share and join. If you feel like it, you can share something. Let me put on my